Hello and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Shivani Singh. When a military general starts talking about divine intervention, you know something is wrong. Usually, generals talk about logistics, air superiority, or tactical maneuvers. But in Pakistan, the playbook is different. When the missiles fail, you invoke the miracles. Pakistan's army chief, General Asim Munir, who by the way was recently elevated to Field Marshal, has made a startling claim. He says Pakistan received divine help during its conflict with India last May. He didn't say that the radar worked. He didn't say that the Air Force was superior. He said, and I quote, "We felt it." Tonight and today, we peel back the layers of this divine narrative. Why is the man who controls a nuclear arsenal suddenly sounding like a mystic? Is this a sign of a spiritual awakening or a desperate attempt to cover up a military drubbing? First, the context. In May 2025, India launched Operation Sindoor. It was a precision strike campaign that aimed at dismantling terror infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Why? Because of the Pahalgam attack in April, where 26 innocent civilians were murdered. India's response was calibrated, but it was devastating. For 4 days, the skies over the border were lit up. India established what experts call military asymmetry. The BrahMos missiles, the Rafales, and the integrated air defenses didn't just strike targets, they sent a message. And what was Pakistan's response at that time? They called it Operation Bayanum Marsus. They claimed that they held their own, but the facts on the ground told a different story. The DGMO ended up calling his Indian counterpart on May 10th, asking for a ceasefire. Now, months later, General Munir is trying to rewrite the history of those 4 days. He isn't citing bravery or strategy, he is citing God. This brings us to the National Ulema Conference in Islamabad. This is where the general chose to make these remarks. He told a room full of clerics that Pakistan is a chosen state. He likened modern-day Pakistan to the state established by the Prophet 1400 years ago. He even claimed that out of the 57 Islamic nations, God actually chose Pakistan to be the protector of the holy sites of Mecca and Medina. Now, small geographical correction for the Field Marshal here. Those holy sites are in Saudi Arabia. Last time we checked, Pakistan's borders don't quite reach that far. But facts are secondary here. The primary goal is religious legitimacy. By framing a military standoff as a spiritual victory, Munir is doing two things. One, he is silencing his critics within Pakistan who asked why the army couldn't stop the Indian strikes. And two, he is positioning the army not just as a defender of the borders, but as a defender of the faith. But let's look at this divine help that Pakistan actually needs. While the general talks about miracles, the Pakistani economy is on a life support. Inflation is crushing the common man. The country is surviving on a diet of IMF bailouts and brotherly loans from China and Saudi Arabia. On the western border, the Taliban, Pakistan's former proteges, are now its biggest headache. Munir himself spent half his speech at the Ulema conference warning the Afghan Taliban to choose between Pakistan and the TTP. The divine help narrative is a classic distraction. When you cannot provide wheat, you provide rhetoric. When you cannot win a battle, you claim a moral victory. It is a dangerous game. When a military stops being professional and starts being providential, it starts losing its edge. It replaces accountability with destiny. The reality of Operation Sindur was documented by satellites, by high-resolution imagery, and the very real de-escalation requested by Islamabad. General Munir says that he felt divine help. What the rest of the world saw was a military establishment rattled by India's strategic clarity. India's message was clear. Blood and water cannot flow together. Munir's message is, we were saved by a miracle. One is a policy, the other is a prayer. The problem with relying on miracles for your national security is that eventually the miracles run out. And when they do, you are left with the same old problems. A broken economy, a divided house, and a neighbor that has lost its patience. Thank you for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.